All right. Thank you all for coming today to the reports Veterans Report Refresher. So on March 24th, we're going to be upgrading back to the newer reports module. As you know, when we upgraded in November, there were some issues with the reporter, and we decided to roll back to the legacy reporter, as we're calling it, so that we can wait for the bugs to be fixed. They have since been resolved, and so we decided that they were kind of fixed in December. So, but we decided to wait until this time in March when everyone was done with their annual reports. So, we're going to be upgrading again on the morning of the 24th. So the links will change and you'll go to the new reporter on that day. I did want to cover a couple just general info about the reporter before we get started with the walkthrough. And you can find all of these on the reports homepage in the documentation. I'll put that in the chat. Basically, reminding folks that all staff who need to use the reports tool need to have either the reports runner or reports admin permissions, and they are assigned by the library director or their designee. And you do need to sign the reports waiver to make sure that you understand the privacy concerns with the reporter. Going forward, as staff accounts are not renewed or staff leave libraries, what we will be doing is turning off any reoccurring reports and unsharing any shared folders. So if you have a staff member that runs a lot of reports or has a lot of report templates, let us know so that we can help you get your someone else to be able to copy those templates into their own folders to set them up to run. Same goes for if the account is marked as that active box is unchecked. We will hide any folders and cancel any recurring reports. Other things to note about reports in general is that we can have two reports running at the same time across all of Spark. So if you're running a longer report or a bigger report, like a very detailed one, run one report at a time, and then if you have to run it again on a different section of your collection, run it after that first one is done. That way you're not taking up both slots for the reporter, and you're leaving that extra lane open for the quicker running reports. Again, if it is something that does take a lot longer, have it run overnight, and then that way you're not, you're not waiting for it to arrive. It'll just be there when you get in the next day. We do have a time limit, so if your report takes more than 2 hours and 15 minutes, please let us know and we'll help you adjust it. After 2 hours and 15 minutes, usually there's something wonky with the report and we definitely need to take a look at it. So they will cancel on their own, but in the off chance it doesn't cancel, just let us know. The reports outputs stay on the reports screen. Like you can download them up to 60 days. After 60 days, they get deleted, and you'll need to rerun the report. And in general, the best practice is if you find a template that you are going to be using, please clone it and send it and clone it to save a copy in your own folders, so that if a staff member decides to delete it, they can, or update it, they can. So those are general info about the reporter. I'd just like to remind everyone about those. And then the only other thing that we really want to stress before we upgrade on Monday is if you have been using Spark for a little bit longer than probably 5 years. You may have a template that you're using that uses what we call the Zool client, which was the desktop client when it was desktop only. And if your template or your report is using a template that was built back then, chances are very high that they're not going to run after the 24th. So we do encourage everyone to take a look at any of their templates and see if they are and their scheduled reports. If you're running anything that's running on a Zool or XUL template, please stop the reoccurrence and we'll help you find a new template to use. Let me show you what that looks like. Okay, so in the current reporter, it will be in the UI column and it'll tell you where the template was built in. So XUL is not good. So for instance here, if it says that it was converted from Zool, you're probably okay. You may want to reevaluate that template and get a new, more up-to-date one, because even then it's a little bit older. But if it says that it was in the UI XUL, you want to delete those and we'll get you a new one. So, any questions about just the general facts that we shared and identifying your Zool templates? Okay. All right. So let me close some screens. So the new, well, the Angular reporter or the upgraded reporter, this is how it'll look. It is kind of modeled after the simple reporter. So if you've ever used the simple reporter, a lot of these screens are going to look very similar. On the back end, everything works very similarly. So any reports that you have currently scheduled will run fine. The only caveat being as long as it's not using a Zool template, the XUL template. So everything that we had prior or anything that you built, any templates, they will be there when we migrate up. Everything will be the same. So please rest assured that nothing is getting deleted. So again, with the full reporter, you have your three sections. You have templates, reports, and outputs. You still have those arrows to collapse and uncollapse your folders. You can have lots and lots of subfolders if you wish. So all of that functionality is still there. But you'll notice that there's a browse and a search. The search is very very helpful now. You can, instead of just searching, so let's do XUL just as a off. It's going to tell you the template ID, the name, the description, the documentation, when it was created, the owner. You can also add the folder and the version from the column picker, and you'll know how old the template is. Anything that's like 3 or 4 is not good. But it also tells you what folder, the owner and the folder. So if you are looking for something that you built, you can at least find which folder it's going to be in now, which is a lot, I find exponentially more helpful than just knowing that it exists. You can search all the fields, you can search just the name, you can search just the description, you can even search just one specific folder if you wanted. So if you wanted to search just your stuff, you could, which is very helpful. So the search is very helpful. So if you, let's do another search. Say this is one that you're interested in. You can have a couple more options in the action menu. The action menu doesn't say action anymore. It just says these three little lines with a check mark. You can clone the template from here. You can do a new report from here, and you can also do what is called a report list. And it'll let you know who else has run reports off this template, which is helpful if you are troubleshooting with a colleague or need to delete the template, but it won't let you because someone else has run a report off your template. So let me find one of mine. Okay, so this one I can do. Oh, we don't have any reports on that one, so that's good. Or we could do that. This one, and then it'll display how often you've run reports off of it. So, and then you can retrieve those outputs or clone the report. All right, so that's search. That has gotten some enhancements. On the Browse tab, so this is back on our main page, you'll see in your folders, you have menu options across the top here, and then you also have your action menus in that drop down. You'll see new template will take you to the template builder. All of that is very similar. It does require you to pick, if you're not already in a folder, to create or add your template to a new folder. And once you select it, it will collapse, so you won't have all of that real estate being taken up by that list. The name and the documentation URL are very helpful, and then the description is also still there. And then you have your sources. Again, the sources are all the same. Not much has changed there. Let's look at items. A little bit change of the layout here as well. So you have your what used to be that column on the left, and then you have your display fields, and then you can adjust how they are sorted. So as you're working through your template, so say you wanted barcode and you wanted maybe item ID in your display fields, you just have to check the box. You can change the order in which they display by using the directional arrows, no longer having to like select the row and then move it up and then select the row and move it up. It's a lot easier now. You can do your transforms here. You can supply hints on what folks should be seeing. You can rename any of these fields as well, but it keeps that path below so you can kind of see which field it truly is versus what it was, what you've changed the name to. Same with the filters. You're just adding the elements that you want to use as a filter, and you can change your options as well. So things with dates, you can still pick, date or year or month. I will note that year, is it year, month, comma, year, or year, comma, month is no longer there, but month is. So, and that will help you do months ago. Oh, excuse me, month, not months ago. It's month of the year. So that was helpful. And then you also have your operators. They are all the same, with the exception of contain string. There's no longer the case one. It's just a string of text. You can supply your filter values as well still using relative time or in this instance a full date, month, and you can supply hints as well. And then if you decide you no longer need something, you can always use the deselect option or uncheck the box. On reports layout, this is, again, just deciding which order you want your outputs in to display in. So you have your display and then you have your field sort. So if you wanted maybe barcode first, you can change that, and then you can have it ascending or descending based on the barcode, and then database ID and so forth. The one, so let me pause here for a moment. Any questions on how things are kind of rearranged in this layout? Any questions on this?
I do.
Hmm.
So I have a couple templates that are currently using year and month as the filter. What happens to those in the new reporter?
They should come over fine.
So it'll still work on that format. I just can't select it for future templates.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Yep. So you should be able to use month of the year instead of year comma month. Any other questions? One other thing when you're looking at your templates is you'll see these lovely overlapping circles, and these have to do with nullability. Um, I won't spend too much time on nullability because not many reports use it, but for those that do use it, this is kind of how you indicate if you want to do an element and have it nullable. So do you want things that are in both are in the table or not in the table join? We usually only use nullability when we're working with statistical categories, and usually we do excuse me, left joins on those, or inner joins. And so if you select something from here, you'll see that it says statistical category required. So the ID is required in that field. Let me get an actual example though, because usually it's the entry that you want. So it has to have an entry. So if you have a statistical category that's not required, so like maybe it's a yes no question, or it's a category like, do they want to opt into the email letter or something like newsletter, and it's a yes no or blank, and you want only the yeses, you would have a join that gives you only the yeses or the nos, or has a value in it. So you no longer will see that nullability box. It's these elements here that kind of control that. If you have any questions or have a template that isn't working how you think it should be, let me know and we can work on the nullability component to it. But I wanted to make sure that we mentioned how it is going to appear now instead of that checkbox. And then as you were in the other reporter, you have your drop-down menus for your sub tables or joined tables. So that all still is the same. So when you're, for instance, when you're working on like an item and you need the title, you can still select call number and then still select bib and then still select simple record extracts for title and author and publication year or publisher. All that info is still there. Any questions on that? So that is the template builder. Same for when you're cloning templates, the same when you're building it from complete scratch. That's what it looks like. Um, So moving across the menu options for the folders, you have, obviously you can rename the folder, you can delete the folder, you can add a subfolder, and you can unshare the folder. There is a bug currently where if you unshare the folder, it kind of leaves this option here, and then you can share it again. And it kind of like creates this long list. I think this is going to be fixed in a patch, so um, just be aware that we are aware of this bug. So those are your options across the top, and then again you have menu options when you've selected a specific template. You have the option to clone, delete, move, and as in move to another folder. You can do a new report, and so this is where you would fill in the values that you've selected in your filters. You'll see all of those elements that you were previously able to edit in the template builder or clone when you were cloning a template are now grayed out, and you then have to kind of move through and fill in the values. So this one is a year, so it's looking for a whole year. And don't forget to hit add. You have your organizational list. You can pick multiples from this list. So if you, I found that if you hold down the shift key and you select like the system, it'll select all of them, which is really handy if you're working through a couple different libraries. That's really helpful. So, and it does give you that tip down here. This one is, oh, this is on acquisitions one. So this is a really specific one. So then you would type in your fund summary code. So, and this is again an example where it says contain string. So you would want to can type in the code name there. And you have your directional arrows to take you to the next screen, which is the layout and scheduling. You still have your pivot label topic options. You have your format options. So if you want Excel or CSV, those are still there. And these are fairly sticky. So once you set them, they should kind of stick. It does remind you that you have to pick your folder and your output folder. Again, when you make your selection, the list will collapse. You still have your reoccurring options as well as scheduling it, your email. And here it says your filters are missing required values. So at least it tells you where you're missing something. So I'm not going to run this one because I don't think, any funds for the test library. But this is why it's telling us we have to go back and look at something. And it won't let me hit save or schedule a report until I fill that out. You can also, instead of clicking the directional tabs up here, you can use the next or previous. And this first one is going to tell us exactly what we should see in our output. So it's called columns, but it's display columns. Let me get a template where we have a couple more options. Let's look at there we go. So this one is looking at a date range. So we have our column, our date pickers are back. You have your list of libraries. Again, I'm going to hold the shift and it'll select all of them for me. And then you have the option of picking shelving locations. You can, pick one at a time. You should be able to pick, hold on the shift key and select one at the top and then go to the bottom. So if you're picking a bunch in a row, this works well. and then hold the shift key again and it'll select all of them. This was kind of a deal breaker for us that it wasn't letting us pick. You would have to click every single shelving location, and that's kind of annoying. So we have a number, again, this is circ ID, so it needs a greater than or equal to value, so it's a count. And then finally our shelving, our circulation modifiers. So you can fill those in, again, still using the shift key if you want. And it selected all of them. And then setting our folders, just like we used to, and now you have the green button to save and schedule. You will see that the name of the report kind of takes on the name of the template, and it also gives you the template name and the template description, which it didn't before, which is helpful. So be mindful that you'll want to change the name or amend the name before you run it, because you may end up with like 5 with this very same name, and it won't let you do that. So make sure you update the name. So any questions on setting up your report to run if your intervals are still the same options? Okay. So that's templates. Reports has very much the same options, renaming, deleting, adding subfolders. You can clone reports, delete, edit, move. You can look at your output list. You can view the report, all of that. So if we wanted to view the report, it would then tell me how I ran it, similar to the view and edit options in the current one. If you're looking, you can also see from the report columns, which are all sortable. You can sort by name now. You can sort by description or date. You can also filter by them. So this really helps with names. So if you don't know exactly what you name the report, you can say contains a certain text. You can add that as well. You can filter by that, or if you know what it is exactly, or starts with, or ends, or doesn't end with. That's helpful. It lets you know if this report is a recurring report, and then how often. And then it does take you to template documentation. Oh, sorry, that's my link from my annual report. So the only thing that is slightly different is if you have an existing report and you like go in and you edit it and you save as new, that is no longer an option. You can't save it as a new one. You would have to clone the report in that instance. So say this one was a reoccurring report that ran every day, and you wanted to, or it's a weeding report that you run fairly often, and you just go in and you make changes, you edit it and then make changes to run as a new one. That workflow will just need to be, you take the existing report, clone it, that's silly, and you can run it on a new library and change the selections. Let me look at a different folder, that one. Actually, let me find a reoccurring report. Actually, I think I put all of mine in here. There we go. So this is one, well, that one doesn't have any options actually. My apologies. Okay, so this one If I wanted to change how it's running, I would use the action menu to clone it, and then I would change whatever settings or values I was picking, and then save it as a new report. Does that make sense for folks who do that workflow where they edit a report and save it as new when they want to rerun it? Let me just check and make sure I'm not missing anything. Nope. Okay. Any questions so far? All right, and then finally, the last section is outputs. You have your pending section here, you have your completed section at the bottom. You still have your, links to your HTML output or Excel or your bar chart or whatever options you selected when you set up the report. Still have options to look at your debugging output. You can get the name of the template if you want that you used for said report all displayed here. You can refresh elements, so you can refresh the pending versus the completed. You can refresh all of them. So this is my reoccurring. If I needed to adjust anything, I can't do that here. I can only delete or remove it. I would have to find the report that I'm running and then edit it from there. So say you need to say this went to a staff member and I needed to update the email address that it goes to. I would need to find the template that this used or the report that this used and edit it from here. Currently in the current reporter, you could just right click and edit it from here. Now you have to go into your reports folders and retrieve it from there and edit it. So I think I have it in my testing folder. Maybe I would have to find it. So naming your things is very helpful. And they actually might be in a different folder. All right, so rather than making you suffer through me trying to find it, you would just find it in your reports and recur. It might be helpful to have any of your reoccurring reports all kind of in one folder that is called reoccurring. You can set this and say, is anything in this? Oh, there they are, to reoccur if you needed to. So that's helpful. So say this needs to email to Kat instead of me. I could select it, edit it, and on the layout and scheduling tab, change the address it goes to or add someone's address. Hit save or save and schedule. So those are the big changes with the reporter besides just the visual change. I think overall, once it'll take a little while to get used to it, but mostly it's just cosmetic things. So just a reminder that this is going live on the 24th. So Monday morning when I come in for the day, I'll make the switch. And anything that you had scheduled previously should still arrive as scheduled. Stop sharing my screen. Are there any questions? Feel free to unmute yourself or type it in the chat.
Okay, I waited. I'll go again. A question for you.
Yep,
Do you said the option to hold down shift and select multiple items that works on any filter where the operator is in list?
it should. Yes. You're not like select. Yeah, it'll go like from the top one. Say there's like five in a row and you click the top one and then the bottom one, it'll do all five. It won't, do you know what I mean? You can't do like one, three, and five that
No, but
way.
everything in between. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Nicole's asking, is there a way to transfer our reports from the legacy reporter over to the, no, you don't have to do anything. Everything will be transferred to the new reporter. It's just basically a cosmetic upgrade. Everything on the back end is still there. All your folders are named the same thing. All of that's the same. Any other questions? Is anyone excited for the layout change? I think it looks kind of cool. Awesome. Thanks, Dave. It does. I think it does look better. I think it looks more modern. Okay. I'll turn off the recording just in